Hi, today's guitar book review is on this one. It's called The Illustrated Complete Guitar Handbook. It says the ultimate guide to making music on the guitar. It doesn't have an author's name on the front, but it's got the editor's name, and inside there's a list of a few people who presumably wrote it together or contributed to it. I don't know of any of these other than Tony Skinner, who started the RGT, Registry of Guitar Tutors for guitar grades. So he was one of the contributors. Now this is a very similar book to one I did a review of a little while ago, which was called this is the Complete Guitar Handbook. The Guitar Handbook. Right, so this new one is a Complete Guitar Handbook. This is the Guitar Handbook. Now, I said when I did the review of that one, I wasn't sure if it was still in print. I suspected it would be because it's such a brilliant book, and there'd be probably an updated version of it. Well, it'd be interesting to know if it is still in print, because this is like a new version of that book. Overall, I don't think it's quite as good as that other one, but it's still a very good book. This one is from 2008, and I think it was originally published in 2005, so it's a much more modern book than the other one that we looked at. And it's very similar in that it's got a chord dictionary, a very good chord dictionary actually, at the back. That's really good, virtually the same as one in that other book. These don't seem to be related, they're different publishers, different people wrote the books. There's nothing that links them that I can see, but somehow this is just an updated version of that, so yeah, it seems a bit suspicious. I think there probably is a link somewhere. Anyway, yeah, the chord dictionary is very good. There's a section on miking up acoustic guitars, for example, recording technology. That's going to be a bit more up to date than in the other book, because this is from 2008, whereas the other one was sort of updated in the early 90s. Telling you things about guitar cables, that sort of stuff. If your amp or your guitar's not working, there's a troubleshooting section. Now, this book, like the other one, it's got a bit about everything. It's got about famous guitars like Martin D45, Gibson 325. Tells you a bit about these famous guitars, and then there's a section where it tells you a bit about famous guitarists: John Williams, Frank Zappa, Satriani, Django, Keith Richards, Pat Metheny. The list of guitarists is very similar to the one in the other book as well. So another suspicious thing. Well, I suppose there's obvious people you're going to have in here. Johnny Greenwood, he wasn't in the other one because that book was, well, Radiohead were around when that book was published, but only just. So that's interesting, just like the other book. A little section on that. Musical styles, tells you about metal, jazz, and all of these little sections are very short. So there's like a couple of pages on metal, a couple of pages on jazz, a couple of pages on Van Halen, a couple of pages on Les Pauls. So it's just a nice book, but there's a whole section on playing, learning to play, about bar chords, chord substitutions, triads, an introduction, more chord charts, time signatures, all really useful stuff. Like a lot of these books, it's no good on its own. You couldn't learn to play and be sort of proficient just with this book. But if you're someone that's having lessons as well, then it's going to be really useful, because you could use this to supplement what you do in your lessons, and it will tie in. If you've got a good teacher, the sort of things that are in here are going to be the kind of things that your teacher's going through anyway, but maybe in a slightly different way. So it's a really good book to have, as well as having proper lessons. There's an interesting thing right near the beginning. It's a start here. It's telling you there's different ways that you can use this book. There's questions you ask yourself. First question is, I want to start playing the guitar right away. Sorry, that's not a question, is it? There's statements. I want to start playing the guitar right away, and then there's a question underneath. Do you have a guitar and want to get to grips with how to get the most out of it as quickly as you can? So then it tells you which page to turn to be able to do that. There's one here. I want to play classical guitar. So the question underneath is rock and roll not for you, ? Go to page 24, learn how to fingerpick, blah blah blah. Go to page 150 to discover more about classical guitar technique. So that's an interesting kind of little section that I haven't seen at the beginning of any other books like this. Now, I want to learn about scales and modes. So then it tells you which page to go to sort of find out about scales and modes. There aren't many of these questions. There's only a couple of pages of these statements and questions. 4 pages. So overall, I think it's a good book. It's probably still in print, I would have thought. This one's 2008, so it's not that old. I suppose that's getting on a little bit, but yeah, hopefully it's still in print. That's a good one. I sort of recommend that one. It's the illustrated complete guitar handbook. So yeah, good in conjunction with having lessons. It's a good little book. Okay, thanks.